Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome into a brand new episode of Snaps. I am TBob. He's Aaron Murray, and this is your favorite college football show, or at least I hope it is, or one of your favorite. Hit the like button, share with your friends. Lot to get into today. We're going to kind of build on a story that we talked about the other day with Tsar Nicholas trying to save the soul of America and President Trump and whatnot. It looks like Disney and the House of Mouse may be finally opening their wallet for a 9th SEC football game, which will have multiple interesting ripple effects. We say goodbye to a legendary quarterback in college football. We say hello to the year of the quarterback, 2025, or is it? And, well, some big breaking news off the top here. But first, Aaron Murray, what's up, dude? How you doing?
Doing good. I saw little one lost her first tooth the other day.
Okay, yeah. So I'm an idiot. That was her third tooth.
Okay.
I thought it was her first tooth because I forgot about the other two because they're the kind of pointless teeth, right? Not visible. I think like two random ones on the bottom. This was the first front tooth, the first incisor officially lost. So now she has the very cute missing front tooth smile going on, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, Maddox lost his first 2 days ago. This one right here.
Oh,
right
dude,
here.
Hell yeah.
He's in the back seat eating an apple, and I go back to get him. He said, "Dad, I think my tooth is gone." I was like, "Oh shit, really?" And I was like, "Where is he?" He said, "I swallowed it." I was like, "Okay." I was like,
"He swallowed it?"
He swallowed it. I guess he was just eating the apple. I had no idea.
It's always my nightmare is swallowing a
tooth. Yeah. Tooth Fairy still came, though. Tooth Fairy still came. She's a generous little Tooth Fairy.
How much did Tooth Fairy pay? Inflation's a hell of a thing.
$5. That's all he gets.
Okay, us too. $5. Now, did you do 5 singles or a $5 bill?
$5 bill. I haven't been to the strip club in a while, so just a $5 bill.
I did 5. Well, I went to the horse races recently, so I had a bunch of singles on me. I did 5 singles though to make it feel like, like a little more.
Yeah,
like a little wad of cash.
He brought me $1. He brought me $1. I was like, no, but it's $5. And
yeah, exactly. See, yeah.
Good idea. Good idea.
But
50 fucking pennies under there.
Yeah, exactly. There's just a mound of gold, like
I'm rich
on the 5 ones. Yeah, it's 500 pennies. A sack full of pennies. All right, let me tweet this out and then we get in the show. Aaron, how close are we to race day, my friend? Aaron's training for a marathon for anybody who may be new around here.
June 1st. Tomorrow is the longest run of the training. 22 miles tomorrow we'll be running in the morning. So essentially we're pretty much running a marathon tomorrow. I mean, 4 miles short of it, but I mean, we're right there.
And that'll be the longest you run before the actual marathon.
That'll be the longest
until the actual marathon.
Yep. After 22, I think the longest we have over the next 3 weeks is like 14.
Okay.
Just a casual 14.
Crazy, dude.
I love how like our mindset has so changed so drastically to like when we see 14 miles on our sheet, we're like, oh, it's just 14 miles.
Oh God.
Like that, it feels like an off day.
Place to be. No, I know that's an impressive place to be.
Crazy.
What do y'all run together when you run?
Not all. Once a week. We try to do the long ones together.
Can y'all maintain the same pace?
Yeah.
Our
running styles are different though. I like to start out the gates fast and then kind of cruise. And then maybe
did you run 110s at Georgia?
Yeah.
That's the old 110 technique, right? Yeah. Burst out and then stride.
See, because my mindset is like, all right, I want to be under 9 minutes per mile. So if I can get my first mile like at 8:20, then I got a nice gap to like every now and then kind of just chill. Where she likes to come out slower, like 8:40, 8:45, 8:50, and then gradually build throughout the run.
Bro, that is so fast to me. I mean, I got into running a few years ago, and I still enjoy it, even though I've been enjoying lifting a bit more lately. But it's like a 10-minute mile, and I am fucking pushing myself. I'm just a big, slow, lumbering piece of shit. Like 10-minute mile, and I'm pulling like 155, 160 heart rate. What's your heart rate when you're running an 8-minute mile?
I I mean, it's probably like 160, but like normally when I'm running my normal pace, like my marathon pace.
You can hold 160 for a marathon?
So my marathon pace, so like when I ran 19 miles 2 weeks ago, my average heart rate was 148.
Wow. And how fast were you running those miles in?
Right around 9 minutes.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy. You're in incredible shape.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
My VO2 max level is pretty high.
I don't know what the fuck that means. But that's badass.
Yeah. I think it's how much your body can utilize oxygen correctly.
So my body's just dumb.
Yeah.
Shout out to our guy Chris Tran in the chat. What's up, CT? Foreign producer of Snaps. Great to see you, my friend. But it's great to see everybody. There's Drunk Vigo, Lock Hesse, Mitchell Naps, Drew Simon, Miss Terry's Bathwater, Quinn Kaufman, who Quinn DM'd me on Instagram and said something about TBob, you're X amount of years old. It's time to put up the mouse and keyboard. And I said, never, bitch. Shut the fuck up. So even though, to be honest, I haven't been able to be gaming too much lately. It's kind of a bummer.
Dude, I spent how much money did we spend on that PlayStation? And I haven't played it in 8-9 months.
Well, Grandma bought an Xbox. First off, so Jesus, could you sound any fucking older? You just sounded like every parent of anybody who's our age when you were asking for like the N64 or the Xbox 360, and they're like, "Who wants the new Nintendo?"
Yeah,
who wants the new Nintendo? Hey, and don't get mad about that. You're the one that killed the Gaming Wednesdays. You said it was fucking with our algorithm. You know what's fucking with our algorithm? Talking about dicks and making cum jokes. Okay, that's what's really fucking with our algorithm. But whatever.
Have you seen Sinners yet? Next week.
What's that?
Let's play a game next week.
I think I still have mine set up. I'd be down. Even though I got to tell you, I am god awful at that game again. Because I've continued my online dynasty, and I got really pissed because I was at Disney and they did the off season without me. So I missed all recruiting. I missed everything. And I was like, all right, fuck this, dude, whatever. But yeah, I went winless in conference this last year after having a good. Yeah, it's that game's crazy. Like you don't pray, you don't try, and then you just get so bad at it again.
Crushed. Yeah.
Anyway, Mysterious Bathwater, have you seen Sinners yet? I have. I'm obsessed. I'm 10 out of 10. I think I like it a bit more than most seem to, but it is an elite movie that anyone would enjoy. Did you see it?
I've not. I've just heard what I've mostly heard what you've said, that it is elite. I've heard people who have not said.
Like, I think I'm still
8.5 to 10.
Yes, I think I'm still a bit more head over heels than most, it would appear. But like, I don't know of anyone who saw it and was like, that wasn't good.
Yeah. Will you take your kids to the new Lilo and Stitch?
I have no personal affinity for Lilo and Stitch, but somewhere along the lines, my kids started to like it. And I don't even know. I don't think I've ever actually seen the movie. And so, yeah, I'll see the live one with them. Or maybe my wife will. One of us will. That's actually one of those. I don't mind if I don't go. If they want to go for it. And I'll watch like Bobby or something. Yeah.
Big old Bobby. Big old Bobby.
I hate to say this, but like when we were growing up, there were a couple of characters that if you liked, you were a bit of an odd bird. One of them was Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. And so I see the adult in Disney who just really love Stitch. I'm like, you're a little odd. And the other one was Invader Zim. You know, the Invader Zim attracted an interesting crowd. What?
When was its original release?
How
old were we?
No idea. We were a little older. I think we were a little older.
We were 12. I was 12.
Yeah.
11.
Yeah. We were a little older.
Yeah.
The Hawaiian roller coaster ride song or whatever is pretty damn good. But
Stitch teaches kids how to act like assholes.
I mean, well, yeah, there you go. He is a little fucking crazy. He actually does remind me of my son. A little bit, to be fair.
I did just get an email from my son's teacher 20 minutes ago about how Maddox essentially not forced, but convinced another kid to break a glass timer in the sandbox, saying let's use our biggest strength to break the timer.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Let's use our biggest strength. That's what I'm going to start emailing clients and people with, like, guys, instead of being like, hey, let's try our hardest. Guys, listen up. Let's use our biggest strength to get this deal done. Okay. It's like one of my friend's kids came to my office the other day, and my computer is just a rat nest of cables. And he is like, oh, wow, Mr. TBob has all the electrics. Like, hell yeah, that's what I'm going to start telling people. I have many electrics, and I'm ready to use my biggest strength to get this deal done. Who's on board? Bo Molinari says, my generation and Freddie got fingered. I have a very soft spot for Freddie got fingered. Absolutely fantastic movie. Daddy, would you like some sausage? Look, Daddy, I'm a farmer. Two of the hardest times that I've ever laughed. Bella B, how much Tooth Fairy leave? It left $5, Bella. $5. I did not go 20. I did not give in to inflation. Or maybe $5 is inflation, you know?
What did we get? $1? Probably $1.
Yeah. Even though by the end, to be fair, by the end, I had I remember getting a Digimon card pack. Because my mom, I think, doesn't know the difference between Pokemon and Digimon. Like, you don't know the fucking difference between PlayStation and Xbox. Yes, Beast Move. I have many electrics and I'm good at technology. All right. You want to go ahead and get into it then?
Bitcoin over 100,000, by the way.
No, it finally hit over 100,000.
Let's retire.
Are you going to actually
time
sell?
For Snaps coin, baby. Let's go.
I'm saying, are you going
this
to?
Is the time
This is the problem with Bitcoin.
What?
You never sell it, so you're not making any money. You're going to hold it. It's going to crash again. No, you're going to hold it. It's going to crash again, and you're going to be like, okay, but that's fine. I'm going to wait it out. It's going to go back up, and it will go back up. But eventually, you have to sell at a peak, even if you're not selling at peak. No, you're just going to hold forever.
401k. Just let it sit there, and when I'm 60, we'll sell it.
You're like me. You're like me with my AMC Stubs reward points. Every time I use it, they're like, "Hey, you got like $15 on here." No, I've been building that $15 for a decade.
Really? And whenever I go anywhere, if I get, I'm like, yeah, just use it.
Nope. I don't know why. I want to hoard them like Smog the Dragon. Joke's on me. I went to find my Stubbs card the other day. Couldn't find it. And that thing predates any sort of email or anything attached to it. So unfortunately, I think I fucking lost my Stubbs points. Shit. See, that's called an unrealized gain, Aaron. Yep. Don't be like me. Sell your Bitcoin now.
You sell your Bitcoin.
No, dude, it's going to keep going up. No, I don't know. Fuck that shit. Anyway, did you want to mention anything else besides trying to do your small part in pumping up your crypto?
No, let's start. Here we go.
Which, again, guys, everybody watch
40 into the show.
Watch CoffeeZilla and learn that all meme coins are just absolute dog shit that should never be played with. Unless you know somebody who's like
ready to pump
scheming up them. No. Unless you know somebody who's scheming the meme coin and you can get in some sort of pre-sale. Otherwise, don't fuck with it. They got bots, snipers, everybody just waiting to fuck you. Yes, T-Web said Smog. It was never pronounced Smaug, which sounds stupid. I actually kind of say Smaug, though, so I'm sorry. I feel like it's more appropriate pronunciation, but whatever. All right. Tsar Nicholas saves America. We touched on this story the other day, Aaron. There was an idea that President Trump may have. So he spoke at Alabama, and then he spoke with Nick Saban. He spoke with Tommy Tuberville. And there's an idea out there that he was maybe going to issue some sort of executive order to the NCAA. Basically, the NCAA, we boiled it out the other day, they are trying to get antitrust exemptions, right? So that when they try to make a rule, they can't be sued as a monopoly and immediately lose in court. Well, he didn't do a just flat out executive order, which would have been crazy. I mean, this makes sense. He didn't just do a flat out executive order saying, okay, this is rules now. What he did do is a presidential commission, I think through an executive order, where Nick Saban and billionaire businessman Cody Campbell, who is the Texas Tech chair of the board and has donated millions upon millions of dollars to the Texas Tech Red Raiders and is the key driving force behind their very good transfer portal class. But Nick Saban and Cody Campbell are going to head up a presidential commission that will seek to fix college football. Do you have any immediate reactions there?
I mean, the immediate reaction is if there's someone that I want to be ahead of anything dealing with the entirety of college football, it would be Nick Saban. My one worry with Nick is how forward thinking is he? Like
exactly.
That's my biggest worry. Like
that is a problem.
I think he has college football's best interest at hand. I hope he does. But like it's a new age, it's a new era, and I know that I get a lot of shit because I feel like I am more forward thinking of like where we're going and what we're doing. And yeah, I want some things to be cleaned up. We're not going back to the old college football. We're not going back to the business era. We're not going back to players not getting paid. And I just wonder if he's flexible enough to be able to kind of tame the beast and where we are without putting us backwards.
So I touched on this on Tuesday's show because I completely agree with you where he'd be so good in that job, but I don't love him as the messenger for some of this stuff because what he keeps saying is it's no longer an even playing field.
Yeah.
And the problem is that has an implication that is just a flat out lie. It was never an even playing field. When you couldn't pay players, Bowling Green did not have the same amount of resources Alabama did. Just because they both couldn't pay players in no way meant that things were equal in the slightest. Now, maybe he means it, and he probably does, in more of a, well, going forward, how do we make things more equivocal across the board? And maybe it's more realistically.
Which
like
I think most people want that, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, again. So this is what I said the other day. I think everybody wants a better framework. All decision-making is made better when everybody kind of knows the effects that a decision will have, like in a marketplace, right? Like I was very interested many, many years ago, over a decade ago now, I was learning about the Louisiana tax code and, why did businesses hate doing business in Louisiana so much? And because Louisiana has a shit ton of tax breaks, like a ton of money they get, but it was so Byzantine and complex and hard to figure out that it actually disincentivized businesses from coming. Even though they could save money, it was too unclear. And I feel like it's a little bit of what's going on in college football right now, where all parties would benefit from a clear framework.
Just take what the NFL is doing and implement it in college football.
Which essentially I think is probably what they'll probably arrive at, right?
I think that solves a lot of the issues. You have a salary cap. You do have this entity. The NFL doesn't have it because you, as an NFL player, you can do whatever deal you want to do when it comes to their name, image, likeness, marketing, all that. But you do have it. You get rid of the so-called collectives that are raising funds to give the players on top of that salary cap. So like we talked about Texas last week, there's Texas team has $40 million they're going to spend. 18 of that is going to be from the salary cap. Another 22 is going to be from donor-led funds. That needs to go. And then there should be legitimate marketing deals. I know it's difficult. I know you're going to come at me like, there'll still be fine ways to get around it. You have to have a police and someone enforcing, hey, you have your salary cap, and these have to be above the board NIL deals, like legitimate NIL deals, similar to the NFL, the mini NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. In a utopian world, that's the play. But as you alluded to, how do you stop businessman buddy from saying, I want to pay this kid for Instagram posts? I don't know. You can't. So that's
a
kind of a
NIL opportunity, though. That's not a collective gathering funds. That's sitting in a pot.
Is it not a bit fucking stupid though to think about wasting resources on somebody combing through NIL deals and saying like, "Is this legitimate?" I don't know. That seems awful.
I mean, that's what they're doing.
But look, but to be fair, maybe I'm there are way smarter people than me who are going to try to figure out solutions. So there's probably a solution there.
My issue is there's still the people. Everyone is bitching and moaning, and it pisses me off because they get mad at me for saying, "Hey, let's go to this NFL model to kind of create this fairness that everyone wants." And they're like, "Oh no, we don't want to turn to the NFL. You're still it." But then they complain, "Oh, Texas has $40 million and my school doesn't have that."
Yeah.
So like you can't bitch that Texas gets more money because their donors give more money, but then complain when you don't want some sort of order and organization and rules. You can't have them both.
But
if you want chaos and you want a free market where it's wide open, then you have to understand there's going to be a handful of teams that are going to have the better rosters every year. Ohio State, Texas being two of them.
So here's the deal, though. If you salary cap it, which I think you will, and which I think is probably a good thing overall, won't it just be like the previous era, but with the players making money, which is good, which is not bad. But like Texas is still going to have those advantages. The facilities will be better. They'll be nicer. Like they'll have like the extra resources aren't going to disappear. They're just going to find new ways to give them the advantages.
Yeah.
So,
but at the end of the day,
I think
the facilities at college football, like there's always little tweaks. Don't get me wrong. You know, like I was listening to Georgia's baseball coach the other day because the whole Mississippi State thing got brought up, like you alluded to, was going to get brought up. And he was like, you know what? I'm very happy with everything we have here from the stadium. There's a couple like tech things that I would like to get to kind of take it over the top because I'm like this tech nerd, according to him. But like all these big schools, if we're talking about the SEC and Big Ten, 80% of them are all within a pretty close kind of playing field of facilities and resources. So like as a kid, I don't think you're going to like necessarily be blown away when you go to Texas compared to if you go to Alabama or Florida or Georgia or Tennessee. Like, I don't think that's really going to move the needle for you now. I think if you go to Texas and you know you can get $5 million more because of their collective, that might move the needle. But I don't think necessarily the resources from facilities is going to make a difference anymore. These schools are getting paid way too much money that they're all going to have the top of line stuff.
Yeah, I guess maybe I've just become a bit cynical about the entire process, and it's all become so complicated that I don't know what I even think the solution is anymore, or that even like a solution is needed. I mean, ideally, okay, if TBob is needed to be the czar of college football, no, I agree with that. Like, you can't have the second biggest sport in America not have a ruling body or like a leader. I guess if I was a czar, you know, one transfer, and I'll give you a second if you graduate,
or you have to sit out.
Yeah, or you have to sit out.
Sit out.
And that'd be it. I'd fix college football. There you go. I'm just kidding. I have a little hesitance over capping over salary capping players, but that's, I don't know.
It's not about salary capping players. I just want it to be done in a more of a legitimate way, which involves policing.
So, okay, sorry. Okay, let's wrap this part of the conversation up by getting away from the theory, and I'm going to give you kind of what they're saying is actually happening. So, Nick Saban and Cody Campbell, like I said, leading the commission. And I should point out, that's a nice addition to Saban because the same way we just expressed some sentiment about how, well, isn't Saban a little backwards for this? Kind of a bad messenger. Cody Campbell is NIL. You know, he's given $25 million to Texas Tech Athletics. They named the field after him. He's the reason why. Texas Tech just turned in the, you know, some people say number one portal class, some people say number two, but like he's the reason why they did that. So you do have a nice balance of a guy who has benefited greatly from this system versus the guy who seems to hate it. The commission will feature a quote, and this comes from the Ross Delger article of Yahoo. Shout out, Ross. The commission will feature, quote, other college sports stakeholders, prominent business people with deep connections to college football, and perhaps even another former coach and administrator. So you're going to continue to build things out. A lot of smart minds in the room. That's ideally what you want here. And here are the goals. And I'm going to read directly from Ross's article here. Quote, a framework of any bill was expected to include three main concepts. One, a limited antitrust protection that in part codifies the House settlement to allow the NCAA and power conferences to enforce eligibility and transfer rules, as well as rules around the new revenue sharing structure. So that's what we said, right? Antitrust can't be sued, and you can actually say, hey, you're eligible, you're ineligible, all that sort of stuff. Two, a clause deeming athletes as students and not employees, with a possible sunset on that provision after a set number of years. So that's been interesting. It's kind of one of the core pillars, because putting in a sunset clause tells you that they know that that's kind of like fighting a losing battle, but they almost need more time to figure it out, what it looks like.
I'm still in the belief of like, I don't know how that's allowed.
Well, because your wife is a lawyer in this space, right? And you've talked to her about it.
Yeah. They're employees. They are employees.
Yeah.
They are employees.
They want a clause deeming that they're not. So that's the second main concept.
Every definition, they are an employee.
And the third main concept is 3, quote, preemption of existing NIL state laws, many of which contradict the settlement and or NCAA rules. That's another thing we should have mentioned. That's one of the core, I keep talking about trust and antitrust. That's one of the core pieces in all of this, is a federal law that will exempt state laws. Look at us, guys. College football has finally arrived. Here we are debating the same things that founding fathers did back in 1776, or maybe more realistically, back in the early 1800s, when we really actually got the Constitution and the modern federal government as we know. But here it is, that most ancient of American debates, states' rights versus federal rights. And although many of you out there are probably states' rights people, if you love college football, you're probably actually federal rights guy in this case. The duality of man. Isn't it funny, the bedfellows that life can lead us to? By the way, Cody Campbell played at Texas Tech, played for the Colts for a second, got into oil and gas, and then he sold his Fort Worth-based oil and gas firm for $4 billion. Good on you, Cody.
Good for you, kid. How old is he? 40s?
Yeah, he doesn't look old, dude.
Doesn't look old at all.
Old. Maybe like, I'd say oldest early 50s. I'm thinking more mid to late 40s.
Yeah.
Let's check.
Keys. Now he just gets to hang out with Nick Saban and make the rules.
Which again, I want to give them credit. And look, if I had to guess, he probably donated a lot to Trump's campaign or something somewhere along the way. And maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe I'm wrong. But that's probably how he got on the radar. But I do want to give credit for the pairing of those two, because they are on opposite sides of this issue in some way.
2001 to 2004. He's like early 40s.
Early 40s. God. Yeah, my co-host on my morning show, Jake Hester, just turned 40 today, and he graduated 07, so that probably puts Campbell at about, early 40s. Jeez.
What are we doing?
Unbelievable. God. Unbelievable.
Good life.
Anyway, there it is. We'll see if college football gets fixed. Interesting movement, though. Interesting movement, because Congress was never going to do anything. They have too much shit on the table. It's all too gridlocked. It's too political. And as depressing as this is, and we talked about this the other day, right? The erosion of the other branches, the executive branch continues to be empowered. But like at a certain point, you just reach the point where you're like, I mean, is that the only way to get anything done nowadays? But I don't know. We'll see. It's finally happening, guys. Dave's here says, do you really want a president who rules by decree? I do not. And that's not just a Trump thing. That's an anybody thing. But I would recommend anybody go listen to the most recent episode of Common Sense by Dan Carlin, in which this is the entire philosophical cornerstone of the episode, is this debate over, like, what do you prioritize? Like, if a guy that you like has that chair, are you willing to give them powers that then you'll be on the other side of when a person that you don't agree with has that chair? Or do you just, do you try to limit the powers no matter what, because, eventually somebody that you don't agree with will be in there? It's whatever. It doesn't matter. But I'm just a leaf on the historical winds. I'm so just along for the ride at this point. We'll see what happens. It's finally happening, though. The House of Mouse is opening their wallet. ESPN has indicated, quote, a willingness to increase its payment to the SEC if the conference adds a 9th league game. So this has been, in my opinion, the main reason, not the only reason, but the main reason why we have not had 9 SEC games yet. And actually, Scott Woodward, LSU's AD, had him on a year or two ago and asked him this very question. And he legitimately said something about like Mickey Mouse has to come to the table.
Yeah.
And so that had not happened yet. But while there is no formal offer yet, it is thought to likely be in the range of an additional $50 to $80 million annually on top of the $811 they're already paying, which would not have them beat the Big Ten, but would bring them functionally almost in line with what the Big Ten is making.
It's wild the Big Ten's making that much more money than the SEC.
9 conference games, a desperate CBS. There's a few different elements at play there for sure.
Yeah, no, I get it. But like for the SEC, this was the smart move. Like, why give up more if you're not going to get it? Like hold that card back, show ESPN. Obviously, I mean, live sports is the biggest generator. I mean, I cover the USF or the UFL. UFL. I kept wanting to say the USFL.
Hey, guys, we're going to edit that out.
Someone in the chat said USFL earlier, so I had that in my mind. The UFL. And while the crowds might not be booming at the stadiums, the numbers are pretty good when it comes to the people watching.
Yeah. People just watch sports.
People want to watch sports. They want to gamble.
I don't think people
watch sports. Like,
I don't think people appreciate just how hard it is to do numbers in television now.
Yes.
Like if you do a few 100,000, that's a success. And I don't know what the
games are getting like $500,000 to $1 million. Some of the
that's
games.
what I'm saying. That's a success. Like that. Yeah. That's crazy for live programming nowadays.
Yeah, because like you'll be in the same like, man, is this going to survive? And then you talk to people like, no, like they're happy with the numbers for ESPN. Like this is going to continue. And you're like, okay. So like live television and especially sports is what ESPN and Disney wants and needs. So like for them to see like, hey, the SEC was as successful. The numbers were great a year ago. College football is still trending in the right direction. We need another game. We need a 9th at the SEC game. So smart by the SEC to hold off, and smart by Disney to pay for it because that 9th game is going to be big. And then you had a crossover game with the Big Ten on top of that. You're talking about 10 competitive ass games each year for these teams.
So what do you know? Greg Sankey played a situation pretty shrewdly, locking the SEC into the temporary 8-game schedule, kind of teasing ESPN, saying, look, we have Texas, Oklahoma now, but, look, see if you like the product, see if you like this new expanded product, and then we'll talk again in a couple of years. Well, at least one SEC team was involved of 8 of ESPN's top 10 highest-rated games of the year last year. So, yes, ESPN has seen the light. They've been intrigued enough to now come back to the negotiating table. And as you alluded to, one of the great benefits of a 9-game schedule is this will move forward, and I would guess basically guarantee the Big Ten scheduling partnership, where you would get, a lot like everybody would play. I don't know what the details would be yet, but I would imagine it'd be something like everybody would play a Big Ten team as well. Yeah. And that's going to be fucking awesome. And then we'll have so much more data to pull from in terms of like, who's the dominant conference? You won't be having to dive into bowl games and
then also who deserves to truly make the playoffs.
Yeah, true.
The more competitive games you play, the more to your point, more data points, more opportunities to get in or out of the dance, which is great. You brought up a name in Greg Sankey, and I want to kind of bring this back to the last topic we talked about. Would Sankey be a better person to kind of be ahead of that than Saban would be? I feel like Sankey's got a great pull for college football.
Yeah. No, I would make Sankey the czar of college football.
I would definitely make Sankey the czar.
I think he's already kind of the shadow czar. He's the shadow lord of college football. And actually, to be honest, I think Nick Saban's the head of the commission. I think the commission is going to recommend Greg Sankey be the head of college football.
Yeah.
Now that you mention that, actually.
He should be.
Another great benefit, even better benefit than the Big Ten scheduling partnership to go into 9 games is we're going to get all our rivalries back. Instead of just having the one team that you play every year, you'll now have 3 teams that you get to play every year. So Georgia, you will get your Florida and your Auburn. LSU, Bama yearly is going to be back on the table. Love that. I mean, you can go down the list, right? Most schools, I'm sure, have one or two games that they really love, and so at least one of them had gotten left out by this most recent scheduling stuff. So 9 games means 3 rivals per year. Big Ten partner scheduling 1 less cupcake game for maybe even 2 less cupcake games by extension and 2 more good games. This is good stuff. What has to happen next year to make this happen is I think you got to get the 16-team format with the 4 auto bids for each conference.
When would this start? This wouldn't start till 2026.
I believe that makes sense to me. Yeah. I don't think they could rework. No, because I think the temporary 2-year thing was 24 and 25.
Yeah.
So this will be the second year of that temporary locked in 8-game schedule. And then 26, just like they're going to rework the college football playoff for 26 as well. Yeah. Brodo Baggins says, doesn't UJ already have 3? Florida, Auburn, Tennessee. Well, exactly. Under this schedule, though, even if you play in both years during the temporary setup, under this schedule, who's y'all's only permanent right now, Aaron?
Florida. Right now, Georgia, Florida, the only permanent. That Georgia's permanent one is Florida. But yeah, this would add back in most likely Auburn, and I would guess Tennessee.
Who's y'all's only permanent right now, though?
Florida.
Okay, Florida. Sorry, my computer keeps getting. If you're listening on audio, I keep dropping. So that's big news there. Other big news, Aaron. Cam Rising, medically retiring from football. 7 years in the NCAA. And a hand injury ends up doing him in. It's a sad ending to really what was a great career. 2-time Pac-12 champion. Looked like he was going to lead Utah into this brave new era, and they just spent 2 years of thinking, can he get healthy? And it just never happened.
God, I had the game where he took over for a Utah quarterback against
Florida?
San Diego State. During COVID, and he came in as the backup, led him back to, I believe they ended up winning the game, came in, and then obviously didn't give it back from there on out the rest of the season, and then kind of the story of Cam Rising from there. But still, 7 years is so damn long.
So he tweeted, "Bad moon out." Quote, "Due to a hand injury I suffered during the Baylor game, I've been advised by 2 orthopedic physicians that I will never be able to return to playing football. I'll be obtaining a 3rd medical opinion and will undergo the recommended surgery. I will continue to rehab and do all I can to get healthy, but in the meantime, I will unfortunately be forced to medically retire from the game I love." So, huge bummer. Huge bummer for him. So if Cam Rising is retiring, Aaron, how in the world could we call 2026 the year of the quarterback, or 2025?
God, he was going to be the top guy.
Because that's what Ari Wasserman did.
Was that what he said?
This is a recent article from Ari Wasserman saying that's what makes the 2025 college football season so exciting. It's the year of the quarterback. It doesn't matter how you rank them or who you think will turn out to be the best. Every conference and geographical footprint has exciting quarterbacks who have the chance to give the sport the star power it lacked last season, which, to be fair, it did. And the draft reflected that. And then you start to look at this year and think about it. Arch Manning. Down there.
Can we stop with the Arch Manning first? Don't
stop being a fucking idiot. You get why Arch Manning is the year of the quarterback.
Stop it. Starting the conversation with Arch Manning when he's never even fucking played a game against a good team. Stop. Everyone. Stop with Arch Manning being the first name out of your mouth. He has not played a meaningful game.
This isn't about who's the best quarterback. This is about in this article, this is about the
he's probably not even a top 10 quarterback. He might not be
about the year of the quarterback. There's not a bigger name than Arch Manning. There's just not. There's just not a bigger name than Arch Manning. Get over it. Get over it. Sorry. But you got Arch Manning in Texas leaving the Longhorns. Here on the East Coast, you got Cade Klubnik in Clemson trying to hold it down for the ACC, and the Baptists bringing little old Dabo back. You go up north, Drew Aller, Penn State, one of the favorites to win the Natty. What about the Bayou? Every now and then there's one of them teams that just runs over everybody. Well, they got Garrett Nussmeier, DJ Lagway holding it down in Florida, the dickhole of America. Lenora Sellers trying to challenge Clemson's supremacy. John Mateer trying to restore the good name of Oklahoma. I mean, it goes on and on. It's a good year quarterback, Aaron.
Luke Altmaier.
Hey, why are you being so fun? Why are you being a dick to Luke Altmaier?
Sam Levitt.
You know what's crazy?
Nico at UCLA.
He's not even. Those guys are okay. They end up in the underrated category.
Diego Pavier, John Mateer.
I got to be honest.
Carson Beck.
I'm such a fucking hater for this.
What?
I'm over Diego Pavia.
Really?
I'm over Diego Pavia, dude.
Damn.
Go run the option somewhere, dude.
Damn. You don't like a competitive Vanderbilt that just takes out Alabama?
No, I mean, I did love that day.
Come on.
I know. I told you I was a hater. Sometimes you just have like instincts to hate on something. And unfortunately, that is one of my instincts.
Let me go to the chat real quick. Sylvain Alarkin. Says Drew Aller earned all the hype. I watched a few Penn State games and was underwhelmed. Am I missing it? I would say if you watch the playoff games, I would agree with you. Like if you did not watch Penn State regular season and you just watched the playoffs, Drew was very underwhelming and even downright bad, to be honest. But if you go watch the regular season, Drew is extremely impressive. He looked like that 5-star, 6'5", 240, rocket arm, good mobility quarterback. And honestly, like if he would have played better in the playoffs, probably would have been the number 2 quarterback taken in the NFL draft this year.
He does not have any statistically impressive games from last season.
He also doesn't have any fucking receivers to throw to a year ago. He only had a tight end.
That's fine, but that's what I'm saying. It didn't look like he was a great. He didn't look like 5-star, overwhelmingly badass to me.
Stats. If you watch the throws and you watch the plays that he made, I walked away extremely impressed by the regular season Drew.
He threw for 135, no touchdowns against Illinois. 237, 1 touchdown against UCLA. Now 391, 2 tuds against USC. That was his best game easily.
Yeah.
He threw for 148, 1 touchdown against Wisconsin. 146, no tuds, 1 pick against Ohio State. I'm kind of with the chat here. More often than not, Drew Aller's not that guy. Watch the film. Hit me with it. You know you want to say it.
The film. It just has to do with the play. His receivers are god awful. They had no receivers. They had the best tight end in college football, who was great. But other than that, there's no one else to throw to.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. But then he hasn't looked like that.
Yes, he has. If you watch him throw the football in the plays he made last year, you would say, damn, it's a good-looking quarterback. That is a first pick.
Good-looking quarterback just because he's a giant white guy.
Yeah, I can throw the shit out of the football.
Yeah.
Isn't that the job of a quarterback?
Why don't you throw it to a fucking receiver then? A wide receiver. Not a running back, not a tight end.
I don't think Aller's Will Levis 2.0. Andrew Cooper in the chat. I'm high on Drew. I think Drew's going to have a great year.
Drew's a top 5 pick. Yeah, he's a giant fucking white guy. Of course he is. I told you that.
Yes. I would say Cade. I am not sure where I'm at with Cade as a pro prospect just yet. I think as a college quarterback, I think Cade is going to have an opportunity to be I would put some money on Cade to win the Heisman next year. Because I think Clemson will be in the playoffs.
Who's better next year, Club Nick or Nussmeier?
From a what standpoint? Stats?
No, because I think NFL prospect standpoint, Nuss is going to be the answer, right?
Yes.
So no, from a statistical success standpoint.
I would say Cade. I think Cade has more the ability to run the football. I think he'll have some good rushing stats. So like when you look at it from a Heisman perspective, he could throw for 35 touchdowns and add another 10 touchdowns on the ground.
What about this? So, okay, one thing is Okay, I got two questions with the Norris Sellers. First has to do with Klubnik, because Klubnik's over Sellers on every list. But is that interesting to you, given that Sellers just recently out-dueled Klubnik? Wasn't that at Clemson too?
Yes.
Won at Clemson on the road by playing better than him. Like pretty much single-handedly won the game.
But Cade played fine that game. Cade didn't lose that game. I don't think he had a bad game from what I remember. And I do think Clemson will be significantly better than South Carolina next year.
What did he do in that South Carolina game? Cade threw for 280, no touchdowns, one pick, but 24-36, pretty good.
Yeah.
Just couldn't quite, yeah. Okay, what about who's better out of DJ Lagway and Lenore Sellers?
You know how I feel about DJ.
So DJ's your number one.
I think DJ is the most talented quarterback in college football.
Okay. Yeah. Who's more interesting to you? Who's going to be a better transfer? Make their team better? John Mateer or Jackson Arnold?
Jackson Arnold.
Really? Because I'm getting a little intimidated by Mateer. Hearing very good things.
Yeah, I am too. And the tape is terrific. But the tape for Arnold early on the season, I thought was good. I saw a lot of good things from Arnold. Then you look at Auburn.
Yeah, they're crazy receivers too.
Yeah, they're gonna have the best receiving core in the SEC.
Yeah, that's true.
So I just think that you go from being at Oklahoma without any offensive line, without any receivers, made some good plays. Like you saw that 5-star potential. And now you get put in a position, fresh start with that kind of talent around you. I think this is when you can see Arnold really, really kind of accelerate his growth. So I think Auburn could be like a dark horse, like playoff team. Like I think they could be an 8-9 win team kind of floating around there in the conversation late in the season.
Who's going to be better, Darian Mensah or Carson Beck?
Ooh.
I'm mostly asking this question to prove how absurd the Beck fall has been that you even have to hesitate, because that should have been an easy bet. I kind of agree with you.
Miami too.
No, yeah, sounds very toxic.
Yes.
What are you hearing?
Just that not sure how prepared he will be because of the arm injury to start the season.
Yeah. Well, no shit.
Yeah.
God. Just bad fall from grace. We'll see, though. Maybe he proves us all wrong, right? That's the great part about football. Who will be better, Julian Saban of Ohio State or Dante Moore of Oregon?
Julian, big time.
Okay.
He's the best receiver in America on his team.
A lot of pressure on Dante Moore.
Oh, yeah.
And the one time we saw him in college football, he was not that good at UCLA. It was his freshman year. Now, I like him taking a step back, saying, I need to learn, blah, blah, blah. But to follow up what Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel have done at Oregon is actually fucking insane.
Yeah.
What, if you don't account for 50 touchdowns, you suck?
Yeah, if you're not a Heisman contender.
I mean, you want to talk about a lot of pressure.
Yeah, but it's not – I would say the offense, and not hating against Oregon's offense, but it's not – I'll flip it. It's very quarterback friendly. There's a lot of easy completions.
Okay.
A lot of easy completions, and you still have what, the number 2 or 3 most talented roster in America, and it's just a bunch of playmakers. So like, you're not asked to do a ton. Where I do think even though Ohio State does have playmakers, like that offense requires you to throw the ball more vertically down the field more often. So it's a little bit more of a challenging offense from a sense of having to be on time, in rhythm, accuracy more than 15 yards down the field. A little bit more, high pressure stuff.
Julian Saban or Bryce Underwood? Saying again?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm very intrigued to see Underwood, though. Okay, better underrated quarterback, Sam Levitt or Luke Altmaier?
Sam Levitt. Luke Altmaier, overrated. Oh.
A massive jump from Altmaier from 1 year.
I'm still not
you're not impressed by that at all?
I am. I'm just not a believer in his skill set at all.
So you just think Sam Levitt's much more rawly physically?
I think he's a more talented quarterback, yes.
Yeah, because look, Altmaier last year ends up completing 61% of his passes for 2,700 yards, 22 touchdowns, 6 picks, which I feel people might be like, so?
Don't forget to
the year before.
As well.
Yeah, the year before, though, it was 1,800 yards, 13 touchdowns, 10 picks. So if Altmaier could jump again like that, which is going to be tough to do, I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying not Sam Levitt, Luke Altmaier. You're saying Sam Levitt, Kevin Jennings.
Yeah, I like Kevin Jennings.
Does Sawyer Robertson get in as well? Anywhere in there?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many. I mean, this is why it's a more intriguing year. I mean, there's so much better quarterback play.
And then finally, Aaron, it's time to come to the aid of your people. Is Jake Retzloff the best quarterback in college football next year? Damn bad Jew. Aaron Murray. There you go, dude.
Damn bad Jew. And damn bad dog.
If you all don't understand that joke, the BYU quarterback, Jake Retzloff, very ironically was Jewish.
Yeah.
Retzloff, man, what's his career numbers? Because last year he ended up being a bit of a liability, but was that his first year really playing? He was a junior.
Only while you figure that out, Vaughn's Bluesman. Aaron, your thoughts on Alabama's quarterback Ty Simpson? I mean, the film was not impressive when he played 2 years ago. That's for damn sure. I mean, it was a really bad game in the sense of like guys kind of weren't playing for him and kind of making a statement that Milroe was going to be the guy. Does the offense fit maybe his skill set more than Milroe's? You could say yes, maybe a little bit more, but very underwhelming 2 years ago. But that was 2 years ago. And this is a better offense and a better staff offensively than what he had 2 years ago as well. So I think that coupled together could mean that maybe, yeah, he's got Ryan Williams out there. We'll see.
Ryan Williams. I mean, look, if I'm an Alabama fan too, I am putting all my eggs in the Kalen DeBoer needs Ryan Grubb basket.
Yeah.
That Ryan Grubb is the secret sauce, that when you get Kalen and Grubb together, that's when great things happen. Like, I am firmly committed to that, whether that's a reach or not. That's what I will
say that, like, I don't think Ty showed this even raw ability. You were like, oh, wow. Like, he made some impressive plays. Maybe there wasn't that consistency factor there, or maybe the offense wasn't great from a schematic standpoint. Like, I didn't see any of that incredible raw talent that you could say, like, oh, if you put him with a Grubb and in that offense, that he could excel. So I'm very hesitant.
Biggest question. It will be the thing that determines where Alabama's season goes. News says Beck going from preseason prediction for number one pick to where he is now is in the to where he is now in the zeitgeist just shows how terrible we are all at predicting quarterback futures. I think the most fascinating element of the Beck journey is not even that. It's what Aaron's alluded to in the past, where he was the guy who waited. He was the guy who did things the right way. He was the guy who didn't care about NIL or anything because he waited his turn, something that never happened. He didn't transfer out. And to go from that guy to what he's viewed as now is about as polar opposite as you can be.
I would say there's also the negativity from his personality and the off the field too. I think all that wrapped in is really just
for sure.
His image.
For sure. But what I'm saying is, like, that's a crazy place for him to end up being when the whole idea on him in the first place was great team guy, great program guy that stuck around and bided his turn instead of transferring out.
Yes.
Army says Keelan Russell will take it from Ty midseason. If Keelan Russell ends up being the starter for Alabama, I think that means things have gone awry. It doesn't mean the future's not bright, because I think Russell could be awesome. But if he's, I mean, would you agree with that, Aaron?
What?
If Keelan Russell, because Army says Keelan Russell will take it from Ty Simpson midseason. If that happens, things have gone badly.
Oh, things have gone really badly.
Yeah, really badly.
If you bench your starting quarterback midseason, like, shit's hit the fan.
Which is funny because 2 years ago, Alabama did bench Jalen Milroe, try Ty Simpson, didn't work, and then ended up in the playoff.
Yeah, but that was early in the season.
It was early. It wasn't middle. Yeah. But still.
And that was, they benched him for one game against USF. It didn't work out. Then they put him back in.
Dan Davis says, let's go Ducks. Well, congrats to you, Dan, because Oregon should be really fucking good again if Dante Moore's good.
Great
Bo
point.
Molinari,
Great point.
The The worst part about being quarterback at BYU is not being able to have sex with your girlfriend without getting benched. True.
He sex with anyone, not just your girlfriend, but like the entire campus.
Which Aaron Murray did his best to do in his years in Athens.
And now my testosterone's gone, unfortunately.
I got my blood drawn the other day. I think I was at like 400 something.
Good for you. I'm fucking depressed. Sharon and I did this NFL thing like 2 months ago where they did like a full 2 hours of all the testing.
Yeah.
And we just got it back yesterday. Fucking like 315.
I might be like 380s, or maybe I'm
it's like normal range, but it's still on the lower end of the normal range. I think
I'm kind of in the middle of the normal range.
Yeah, not happy about it.
But that's big up though, because last time I got tested, which was like almost a decade ago, they told me I had the T of a 70-year-old man.
Damn.
Maybe it's the Kegels.
I also had my bad cholesterol was a little high. All the red meat and beef tallow, I guess, is increasing my cholesterol.
Yeah, I think mine was a little. He said something about.
Mine was like 155. Sharon was like 50. I was like, oh shit,
I haven't gone over the results yet. I need to actually. This is just like one or two texts.
Oh, I went over last night. I was like depressed. There's like 3 things. I'm also like pre-diabetic, I guess, too. Fucking, I'm just like dying over here.
How? You're in such incredible
shape. I know. I don't know either. It's not high enough to where like I'm like at 100, like diabetic's 125. So like I got a little wiggle room, but I gotta stop eating sugar.
But like you eat like really clean.
I know, but like I think this was like postseason. I always eat like shit during the season. I don't know.
Yeah.
Good motivator. Good motivator.
Man, I don't want to hear that I got to eat less red meat or stop putting salt and butter in my. I love cooking with salt. I mean, who doesn't? You know what changed my life in the kitchen more than
like eggs? I love eggs. I have an omelet every morning.
Yeah, fucking love eggs. Who doesn't love eggs? You know what changed my life more than anything I've ever bought in the kitchen? A salt box. Instead of a little shaker, instead of a little bullshit like that, you have a wooden box. I got a cool little one from a local spice, but yeah, just a wooden box full of salt. So whenever you need it, you just take a pinch out, sprinkle it. I like having a container of flour, a container of sugar. Like I need all my core base elements there, where I'm not having to dive into bags and other things like that.
I like it.
Bo says, don't give up meat tea, give up sugar and you'll be fine. Yeah. I don't have a terrible sweet tooth, but like the thing is, I do the intermittent fasting, but I don't really give a fuck about what I eat. So that's my next step eventually is maybe eating a bit cleaner. But
yeah, I don't want diabetes.
If you get diabetes and you get your foot cut off, we should mummify and make a trophy out of it. And then we can give it to like the Top Snaps listener or something. We can auction it off for charity. For the charity, our scam coin.
Diabetes runs in my family. My grandmother had diabetes. My uncle, aunt have diabetes. I went to DC is after my rookie year to like to speak at this conference for diabetes, like in the White House and on the Senate floor. So I went there.
Grandpa?
Huh?
You went to speak at a diabetes conference, or your grandpa did? What'd you say?
No, I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was like to help, raise awareness and try to get more funds, yada, yada, yada. So like all these guys in front of me speaking, all these other NFL players are speaking about like past experiences of family members that have died or like, so I was like middle of the pack to speak and all these great stories. And like, I didn't have anything great. Oh. So I kind of fibbed a story about my grandma.
What did you say?
Because like diabetes, like it does like, it takes your sight away a little bit for some people. So I kind of brought up the fact that like, we'd be playing in the backyard and, grandma couldn't even see her grandbabies playing. My dad and mom were like, what the fuck were you talking about?
That is like a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode, because I get why you did it. You kind of had to do it.
wasn't lying about diabetes. Like my grandma did have diabetes, and she did have issues with diabetes, obviously, and she did have some eyesight issues. It just wasn't as extreme as what I made it.
No, I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
Look, I'm a firm believer that all great storytellers, you need to embellish a little bit anyway.
Yeah, it's the
But
I was trying to
beyond
raise
that,
funds for diabetes.
I'm just picturing the Larry David-esque nature of like, as everybody's talking in front of you and they've got these incredibly touching but sad stories. You're like, I don't know, man. It hasn't been that bad. Like, fuck, I gotta do something. I guess I'll blind grandma. Just a little embellishment. Oh my God. At least you didn't go too far with it. You know, blinding grandma's okay. At least you weren't like, you know, making up like full deaths or like, you know, then she tripped and broke her hip and got the like, no. So not bad.
She fell in the pool and drowned. Yeah, we didn't go that far, but
yeah, she fell in the pool and drowned. Is your grandma still with us?
No.
Rest
She passed. And I was like 7 or 8. So, but yeah,
rest in peace.
She got a good
so you weren't. So you completely made up the story. Like you didn't even know your grandma was diabetic when you were younger.
No.
Yeah. You just hell yeah. Oh man, that is so funny. That is real. That's a funny thing I've heard all day. That makes me happy. All right, guys.
Thanks,
That'll do it, guys. Y'all have a great day. We'll be back Tuesday. More snaps. Again, ways you can, we got 1,200 people in here right now. Ways you can help out the show is by liking, subscribing on YouTube. Just Google Snap CFB. You'll find it. And we will see you Tuesday. Love you guys.
Have a great weekend. See ya.